Here is our 12 guidelines on how to submit an offer to purchase property. Hi, I'm Jaco Grobbelaar, the founder and managing director of Prosperity Enterprises. You can often feel overwhelmed when it comes to submitting an offer to purchase when you would like to buy a property. So we are providing 12 guidelines for you that you can keep in mind when you are filling in and signing your offer to purchase. Number 1, make sure that the offer to purchase is in the name of the entity and not in your own name. Remember, as a property investor, especially, you don't want to own property in your own name. You want to own property in the correct structure and in the correct entity. So, when you are submitting the offer to purchase, remember not to put your name as the buyer or the purchaser, but the name of the entity that is buying the property. Number 2, always remember to say that you are going to apply for 100% financing. Even if you do have a deposit, I don't recommend that you say that you are going to obtain 90 or 80% financing. And the reason why you want to say that you are applying for 100% financing is because firstly, it gives you leverage. There's no monies that you have to pay over to the conveyancing attorneys beforehand. And secondly, if the banks do come back with a 90 or 80% loan, you can still accept it. So there's only a benefit for you in rather stating that you would apply for 100% financing than less. I in any way recommend that if you are a property investor, rather apply for 100% financing, get a 100% bond, and then any deposits or monies or funds that you had, you can afterwards put in your access bond or flexi bond, because in that way, you've got your bread buttered on both sides. You don't pay interest on that money that you've parked in the access bond or the flexi bond, but those funds are available for you, accessible to you to withdraw when you need them for shortfalls or to acquire an additional investment property. Then, number 3, you want to make sure that you put your own finance clause in the offer to purchase. The finance clause should state that this offer to purchase is subject to and conditional upon the purchaser arranging financing suitable to itself. The reason why you want to put this suspensive condition in yourself is so that nobody can force you to take a loan that you are not happy with. This is also a nice exit clause for you to walk away from the deal up to the point where you have accepted the financing for this property. Number 4, you want to make sure that you put in an inspection clause in the offer to purchase and that you use a property inspection company to do a thorough inspection on the property. Such a company can go through the property, look at the structure, look at anything within the property or in the roof that might be faulty or not 100% correct, and can then advise you on that. You can then use that as leverage to negotiate the price down or ask for the seller to repair or fix certain things before the offer to purchase can be accepted. The clause that we would usually put in the offer to purchase is that this offer to purchase is subject to and conditional upon an inspection approved by the purchaser within 5 working days. Number 5, always insist on using your own conveyancing attorney. Very often the norm is for the seller to choose the transfer attorney, but as a property investor or a smart property buyer, you want to insist on using your own conveyancing attorney or transfer attorney to look after the transaction for you. And the reasons are simple. When you are using the seller's conveyancer, you've got no leverage to negotiate the pricing. You simply have to pay what they tell you to pay for transfer costs. But when you are using your own conveyancing attorney, you can negotiate the discounts beforehand and pay significantly less in transfer fees. This is money that does not leave your pocket and money that you can save on day one already. And then secondly, your own conveyancing attorney would often give you significantly better service than what the seller's attorney would do. The 7th point is then that you want to ensure that the levies and the rates and taxes that were communicated to you are correct and that you are satisfied with those numbers. Guideline number 8 is to cross out the sale of your existing property if that is not applicable. Often you are going to buy property as a property investor where you are not necessarily going to sell an existing property for this property to be purchased, and it is then important to cross out those points on the offer to purchase. Guideline number 9 is to ensure that the occupational rent is market related. Remember, if you are going to move in early, you want the occupational rent to be as low as possible so that you don't pay unnecessary costs in occupational rent. When the seller is going to move out late after the transfer of the property, you as the purchaser want the occupational rent to be as high as possible to earn proper rental whilst the seller is still in the property. The 10th point is then to stipulate on the OTP which fixtures and fittings need to remain in the property. It may be that you saw something very nice in the property, but when you get the property, the seller actually removed that from the property. So make sure that if there's anything specifically that you want to stay in the property, that those fixtures and fittings are clearly stipulated on the offer to purchase. Guideline number 11 is to then give the seller a reasonable amount of time until the offer to purchase is irrevocable. As a property investor, however, I often don't give the seller a lot of time to decide whether they can accept the offer to purchase or not. And I would often stipulate as little as 3 days that the seller has to decide on whether they would accept my offer or not. Then the last point is to ensure that the information sheet with all of your details are filled in properly. These are the guidelines that we give our clients when it comes to submitting an offer to purchase. If you like this content and you would like to receive more of this, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.